What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through today's 8-game slate in the association. A slate that is filled with teams on the second night of back-to-back or on the front end of back-to-back as the NBA schedule winds up here. I think there's only 4 teams of the 16 that are not on either side of a back-to-back here. So the teams that are on the front end of a back-to-back, the Knicks, Dallas, Golden State, Denver, Phoenix, and the teams that are on the back end of a back-to-back, Indiana, Memphis, Orlando, Brooklyn, Houston, New Orleans. Mike Gallagher, how are you doing on this Friday filled with back-to-backs?
Yeah, coming along here. Busy morning. Just got the Grizzlies injury report. Just got the Rockets a couple minutes ago. So yeah, lot to talk through. We're still waiting on the Pelicans. We'll probably have that at the bottom of the hour. But yeah, lot to go through here. A lot of back-to-back stuff. Going to be a tough one to navigate for sure.
All right, let's get to it. Let's start with New York and Orlando on the Knicks side. Front end of back-to-back, but pretty clean injury report here, just without Mitchell Robinson. What are your notes on the Knicks?
Yeah, not too much to note here. Besides campaign getting digged up on Christmas that cost him a second half rotation. Other than that, yeah, really clean injury report. So we could kind of move quickly there and just the matchups, pretty good for Brunson. Had a good game against the Magic. His usage is down. His drives are down, touches are down. But expect him to kind of get it going as a lot of the other Knicks are in some tougher matchups.
Orlando side, they are on the second end of a back-to-back heartbreaker last night. Buzzer beater from Tyler Hero, great shot to win that 1990s basketball game, 89-88. Could be another low-scoring affair tonight with the Knicks, although the Knicks have been punchy offensively this year. No Paolo Banchero, no Franz Wagner, no Mo Wagner. Gary Harris listed probable with the left hamstring strain. What are your notes here on the Magic?
Yeah, as you noted, just really thin. Almost had this game. Strong run from Miami in the fourth, capped by that Tyler Hero game winner. A lot of fun game winners last night. Good night of hoops. A couple of slates in a row now. But yeah, the headlines here are really two things. Tristan Da Silva continuing to get a pretty big on-ball role. We're seeing him get isolation and pick and roll possessions. He is not looking to look a rookie, according to Jamal Mosley. And then the other one, Trevelin Queen playing a ton. 37 minutes last game, 34 the game before that. He does have Gary Harris, who should compete with his playing time. You would expect, considering Gary Harris has had multiple Q tags and has not played. You would think he's pretty capped, considering his age, his injury history, and again, as I noted, all those missed Q tags. And should note, the Magic don't mess around with Q tags over and over and over again. So this is a bit of a Gary Harris specific thing, which sometimes it's with Jonathan Isaac, but kind of same story, right? Like injured player, Q tagged over and over again. But yeah, I would expect Gary Harris to be severely limited. That would probably take away a lot of the double point guard lineups. Could see Corey Joseph go away. You could see Cole Anthony get cut down. Didn't respond in that second game after the big game 2 games ago against Miami overall. And then the last note here is Wendell Carter Jr. second game in a row now. Backup center and no overlap. We'll see if that changes against a Knicks rebounding team that does rebound pretty well. So, but yeah, for now, we're expecting not much overlap between Goga Batadze and Wendell Carter Jr.
Yeah, you noted the last 2 days of NBA games, lots of really close games, lots of buzzer beaters. I don't think there's much coincidence that it comes after a period of time where there was a good amount of time off for these teams. Like, I think players are fully rested. We're going to see the opposite end of that spectrum over the course of the next couple of weeks with all these back-to-backs and kind of the heavier schedule. So, for those who can get frustrated with the NBA from a competitive standpoint, like player availability standpoint, the answer is in the number of games always, but the number of games, cutting it down would cost them money. So probably not going to win that bout. Let's go to Indiana and Boston. On the Indiana side of things, questionable tags for Enrique Freeman, Quentin Jackson, and Tristan Newton. Tristan Newton is listed doubtful as a G Leaguer. Quentin Jackson and Enrique Freeman questionable with the G League tags. Obi Toppin listed out. Miles Turner not listed on the injury report after being listed questionable yesterday. And then Aaron Nesmith also still out with that left ankle sprain. What are your notes on the Pacers tonight?
Yeah, the Obi Toppin injury had a little slip, and he turned his ankle outside. So like his toes pointed away from him. Usually when you roll your ankle, you roll them kind of inside, and that looked bad. He tried to tough it out, and then just came out couldn't have it. And then Rick Carlisle said after the game that he's going to miss some time. Look, when you roll your ankle outside, if anyone's ever done that, A, it hurts a lot, and B, it could take some time to kind of get back to normal. As someone who's rolled his ankle a lot in my earlier playing days. What happens with that? The headline would be Jarris Walker, expecting him firmly in the rotation. Rick Carlisle said after the game he has a, quote, great opportunity in front of him for minutes, so he would be a guy basically being Obi Toppin, and then you're basically taking Johnny Furphy and replacing what Jarris was prior to this. So those two guys are going to benefit most. You do still have Ben Shepherd. Minutes are going to be held in check, and then we are in a back-to-back here. We saw the last time it was a back-to-back. Rick Carlisle cut Andrew Nembhard's minutes to 19, obviously a little bit later in his recovery, but could still see Andrew Nembhard with the knee tendonitis thing that Carlisle has talked about that they are monitoring. Should also note, too, that Andrew Nembhard had a huge offensive role as they took the ball out of Tyrese Halliburton's hands, just 4 points. If any of you guys know, you do not play lead handlers against the Thunder, as Lou Dort really took him out of this game, and that was an adjustment Rick Carlisle made as they let Andrew Nembhard run the offense and turned in a really big game. I believe that was a season-high scoring for him. Pascal Siakam should see pretty good minutes here. Minutes have been pretty steady. Had a pretty good game against Boston earlier this year as well. And then, as you noted, Miles Turner, we talked about that weird oblique contusion listing when he rolled his ankle 2 games ago. We thought that was why he would be listed. So, yeah, should be all good to go. I don't think Thomas Bryant gets a minutes increase here. He may in other matchups going forward, but considering this matchup here, I just think they're going to try to play a little bit smaller with Jarris at the small ball 5 behind Miles Turner.
All right, Boston side, Q tags for Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. Right shoulder impingement for Drew Holiday. He missed the Christmas Day game. And then left ankle sprain for Kristaps Porzingis, who left the Christmas Day game early. What are your notes on the 2 Boston starters?
Yeah, so Drew Holiday, this is a new injury for the year, but is not a year 2024. It is not new. If you remember back towards the end of last regular season, Drew Holiday had that quote unquote dead arm thing that kind of cut his shooting and all that stuff. This is the same shoulder that cost him time there. So bit of an aggravation, missed a big Christmas Day game. So you would think that there's a decent chance Drew could miss this one. I don't know, just because this is a shoulder thing that has bothered him before. A little bit concerned there. And as you noted, Kristaps Porzingis hurt in the last. It didn't look bad. Like, he played through it a little bit, got the doubtful tag at halftime, and didn't start the second half. So you would think that consider this is the same foot / ankle that he had surgery on. Obviously, it's a little bit different from the ankle, foot, whatever. But I don't know. It's Kristaps. We've seen 3 times this month, I want to say, he's left games early with injury. So yeah. I don't know, man. Like, do you think they'd be careful? It's not again, he played through it at first. It's not severe or anything, but just given who he is and how they got to be careful with this guy, I wouldn't be surprised if he sits out. If one of them sits, pretty confident they would start Al Horford. If both of them sit, then we've got a bit of a discussion to have. It could be Sam Hauser. It could be Luke Cornett. I would think they might go to Hauser. I don't think they're going to start Peyton Pritchard. They haven't done it all year. But yeah, I think there's a decent chance one or both these Q tags and Kristaps and Drew miss.
Yeah, I would guess that it would be Horford and Hauser if they both miss there, and agree on Kristaps probably being more likely to miss this one than Drew. Would also note that Boston is one of those 5 teams that is not on either side of back-to-back here. So they do have one day off, and then they play again on Sunday. Let's go to San Antonio and Brooklyn. On the San Antonio side, they've just listed their G Leaguers out here. City Sudoku, David Duke Jr., Harrison Ingram, and Riley Minix. So no other injuries of note on San Antonio. Any notes you have there to watch out for potentially later?
No, just they really Tibbs it up at Madison Square Garden. We see Wemby 40 minutes. Obviously, the 42-point game was one of the big highlights of Christmas Day. And then Chris Paul, too. Last 2 games, Chris Paul's minutes have been up. Expect that to come back to earth a little bit, and they shifted the rotation to put Stephen Castle behind Paul Moore. So, yeah, other than that, not too much to say. This rotation's kind of locked and loaded. Devin Vassell's minutes are really strong. Victor Wembanyama's front court touches are up. The last handful of games, I believe he had 54, which is a huge number. It's Joker-like. So expecting Wembanyama to take off. And then he's been getting to the rim. That was the story there. So Wembanyama finally attacking the basket a little bit more these days.
Yep. It's been interesting, but it's been a trend that has held for the last 2 years. Is that his usage has actually been up in games with Devin Vassell. I don't know if it's the increased defensive attention that Devin Vassell warrants compared to when Devin Vassell's not out there. That Wemby gets more increased defensive attention and becomes more of a facilitator a little bit. But the usage rate, small changes, but 32 to 33% when Devin Vassell's been in, and 30 to 31.5% when Devin Vassell's been out. So interesting thing there. Brooklyn side, they just added to their injury report as Cam Johnson is now listed questionable, I believe with a hip strain.
Contusion,
Hip contusion is the listing after a couple hard falls last night. They are on the second night of back-to-back. Despite post-game commentary about Ben Simmons potentially playing, he's been listed out. Cam Thomas still out. Trendon Watford still out. Zaire Williams still out. Dorian Finney-Smith questionable here with this left calf contusion. We noted yesterday that we expected, maybe one of Dorian Finney-Smith or Ben Simmons to sit yesterday and then the other to play. We thought it was going to be Ben Simmons sitting yesterday and Dorian Finney-Smith in, since he said he was expected to play. Ended up being the opposite. So what are your thoughts on this Q tag for Dorian Finney-Smith and for Cam Johnson tonight?
Yeah, so after the game, Jordy Fernandez said that Dorian Finney-Smith was expected to play, had some discomfort in warmups, and they just shut him down. And as we were figuring out now, they're just flipping it. Ben played yesterday. I feel pretty confident that they had planned to sit Ben yesterday, and they just flipped it, waiting on Dorian Finney-Smith's availability. So, yeah, expect Dorian Finney-Smith to play, assuming he doesn't have discomfort in his warmups. Cam Johnson, as you noted, had a huge shot late, was laying down. I don't think that's when he got hurt. Did fall down a couple times, just a fall down, just a day-to-day thing. Shouldn't be concerned, but back-to-back, could definitely see him sitting here. So when Dorian Finney-Smith back, if he is back, I think there's a lot of changes going on here. They've been starting Noah Clowney at the 4. He's been very good lately. A lot of positive comments from the team, including Jordy Fernandez. So I think he would go back to the bench. That's just too clunky to start Dorian Finney-Smith, Noah Clowney, and Claxton. So I think the front court would be Claxton, Dorian Finney-Smith, and then the backcourt would be, I think Shake Milton starts. Shake Milton coming off a really strong game against his former coach in Doc Rivers. So I think he takes the point guard job with Ben Simmons out. Keon, and then Cam, if he's in, he's going to start, obviously. And if he's out, I feel pretty good it will be Jalen Wilson moving into the starting lineup, who's mostly been subbing behind him as one of their big floor spacers. Obviously, if he's out, you'd be playing. They could start Tyrese Martin too if they wanted to keep Wilson off the bench. Just something to keep in mind there. They've done that before. But I would lean Wilson. They do seem to like him off the bench though. So it could be one of those two guys. If these guys are all out, then we're talking about. I think they could also play Reese Beekman. He's been kind of filling in as like a backup guard at times, so he might be in the rotation a little bit. I could see Day'Ron Sharp's minutes getting cut a little bit because they may want to play Clowney, who's playing really well. And then if they're all real shorthanded, then we're talking Derek Whitehead and Jalen Martin and all those guys. But yeah, definitely think there's one of those Q tags is going to miss for the Nets.
I think if Cam Johnson misses, they might just slide Dorian to the 3 and have Clowney start at the 4 and kind of just keep things, just to like keep Clowney's minutes going. Just like it's the best way to try to keep kind of his minutes, and then you can stagger things out throughout the rest of the game. But yeah, I would say otherwise that Jalen Wilson would be next in line there to potentially start. And agree with you that
I think they could just cut starts. I think they just cut Day'Ron Sharp out. That would be the cleanest way to do it.
They could. They could, but they could, but I think they'd rather play. I think they'd rather play Day'Ron Sharp than like play Reese Beekman, and this is a way to like potentially like keep that going. So we'll see. And obviously, San Antonio has been playing, at times a little bit smaller in the second units. The Bassey Collins minutes have like wavered in terms of where they've gone, so it could be matchup dependent as well there with Day'Ron Sharp. Let's go to Memphis and New Orleans. As you mentioned, Memphis filed right before we came on here. They're on the second night of the back-to-back as well. They have listed out Santi Aldama, Colin Castleton, Gigi Jackson, Yuki Kawamura, Marcus Smart, and Vince Williams Jr. So the new addition there would be Santi Aldama, who got hurt last night, and also noting that some of these G Leaguers are listed out currently. They've listed Jay Huff as questionable tonight. No listing for Ja Morant, who hasn't played in a back-to-back in some time, so it looks like Ja is good to go. The minutes were held in check last night as they blew out the Raptors, scoring 155 points.
Yeah, franchise record 155 for the Grizzlies. Geez, just Absolute juggernaut from this game, which with the matchup makes sense, right? The Raptors are really vulnerable to the things they do well. But yeah, Ja, no listing. We saw him miss the last one. He's had some back soreness, and we see his shoulder wrapped all the time post game when he does media. So yeah, I was a little bit surprised he wasn't listed at all, but yeah, it should be good. Minutes were light yesterday. I'm so expecting him to be mostly a full go. Probably around 30 minutes there. And then, yeah, nobody else listed besides Santi Aldama, who rolled his ankle, tried to tough it out for like a half possession and just couldn't do it. Fell to the ground, had to be helped off the court. He's going to miss some time here. So you're removing Santi Aldama when it was already a bit of a squeeze. So we know the starters will be the same. I got to shout out Zach Edey, though. Really, really good game. We talked about it on the DFS show that he was in a fantastic spot with the lack of size in the front court from the Raptors. So Edey suddenly playing great with the block shots that he's been making, and then the post ups, all that good stuff. So Edey's looking like if he's going to play enough games, he's looking like he's going to be the rookie of the year. But games count could be a problem there. But yeah, other than that, removing Santi Aldama, that's going to secure the minutes quite a bit for Jake LaRavia, Luke Kennard, Scottie Pippen, and then Brandon Clark. That'll be their core guys. We'll see if they bring in, John Conchar or anybody like that. We know that Taylor Jenkins likes to run 10, so they're probably going to bring Conchar in the mix there. But yeah, expecting this rotation to be pretty long in a back-to-back. We know Jenkins wants to play really deep this year.
Does that change if Jay Huff is available? Does that shift like Brandon Clark potentially to a 4 to cover Aldama or anything there? Because Huff listed Q today.
Yeah, I don't know if Huff's gonna play. I would just hedge him I'd put him single digits just because Edey's been playing too well. It's not like Clark's playing poorly. I think they want to get Edey, mid to upper 20s minutes. It's just a minute squeeze. Like I don't think we'd hedge it for sure, but I don't think Huff's a rotation lock at all.
Okay. New Orleans side, they have not filed at this point, but they did have questionable tags yesterday on Javonte. Okay, we could skip it. Let's go to Minnesota and Houston on the Minnesota side of things. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, same day illness, downgrade to questionable. Always a concern there. Joe Ingles questionable with the left soleus strain. They have listed the G Leaguers out along with Luka Garza and Deshaun Nix. So what are your notes here on Minnesota?
Yeah, another day of the injury show and another day talking about midday illness downgrades. So you guys know the drill by now. Definitely a chance that Nickeil Alexander-Walker misses this game. The fallout there would be pretty easy. Mike Conley's minutes are pretty stable. Don't think he would alter there. Dante DiVincenzo would get a big increase, and then I think they would bring Rob Dillingham in, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if they just up Josh Minot, who's been ahead of Rob Dillingham there. So that would be a bit of a head situation. They certainly could play a little bit bigger and play Minot as more of a 3 as opposed to a 4, which he's been subbing into there. But yeah, other than that, Anthony Edwards, missed some shots, but again, driving. His drives are way up the last 2 games. We talked about that. Would have liked to see more scoring from Ant on my Christmas Day flag plant, but hey, he got his points over. That's all. Myself and my brother and my dad, we were all betting Ant overs and Caleb Martin overs on Christmas with the fam, like the true the Gallagher household should. But yeah, so that's the story there. Keep an eye on Rob Dillingham. If not, didn't miss. Should have mentioned Julius Randle's assists are up. That's been a point in the offense. And then their defense. Their offense is struggling, but their last 12 games, they're number 1 in defense. So the Wolves, despite being a little bit on as a mess offensively, and that's a big story in this game, right? Like you do not want to get deep in this game. The Rockets and Wolves are playing 2 of the best defenses in the NBA.
Let's move to the Houston side. Their injury report came out right before the show as well. We got a Tari Eason questionable tag for injury management, and we've got Dylan Brooks still out. Were there any other notes? I closed out Twitter because I thought I was lagging. So any other notes I missed on Houston there?
No, that's it. So I was surprised Dylan didn't get a Q tag here. We saw that game in Toronto. He was great. And then the next game, late scratch with not listing. And then last game, out tag. I thought it might have been back-to-back. Nope. So he's out for his 3rd straight game. That'll almost certainly put Amen Thompson in the first unit again. I would say certainly put Amen Thompson in the first unit again. He's been really, really good defensively. He had 5 blocks last night, which is a Pelicans weak spot. For sure. So yeah, that'll be the starting lineup. We'll see about Tari. again, just missing games time after time. We saw Jonathan Fagan tweet yesterday that he was going through, a shoot around, looked okay. Shout out Jonathan Fagan. Actually, he announced he's retiring from the Houston Rockets beat. One guy who's been covering the NBA since I have been covering it. Probably on the Mount Rushmore of teams that team beats. He's been awesome. So shout out to him. But yeah, if Tari didn't play, I mean, we talked about it, man. I mean, Cam Whitmore is coming here. He's been really awesome. 2 games in a row now. He's scored in bunches. It's going to be a bit of a squeeze. Can he squeeze out? Has he squeezed out? If they do have Tari back, like Reed Shepherd might just go away. Reed Shepherd's not playing well enough here. They've got enough handling without him. So I think Cam Whitmore may have kind of carved out minutes with this solid role. Obviously, if Tari didn't play, he would be certainly viable, not as viable. The matchup's significantly worse from the last 2 games where he was able to pop off. But shout out Jalen Green. Had a really good game last night, and then obviously Fred VanVleet. This team's clicking in a big way. But yeah, I don't have a great read on Tari. I think he's going to play though. It sounded like he had a chance to play, and maybe they just wanted one more game in a back-to-back. So I would lean in on Tari here.
Yeah, shout out to our guy, Sam Jeffrenia and his Houston Rockets for all of the preseason alt overs on Houston, divisional stuff, best record stuff. Sam is quickly becoming an OKC hater as the Rockets kind of march on here. Let's move to Cleveland and Denver. On the Cleveland side of things, they're still without Isaac Okoro. Craig Porter Jr. has been listed out on G League assignment. So is JT Thor, Amani Bates, and Luke Travers. And then they've got a Dean Wade questionable tag with right knee soreness. What are your notes on Dean Wade's availability tonight?
Yeah, we saw he was somewhat close to playing last game. They held him out. So yeah, I think he's going to be back. He's had some chronic knee injuries, or I should say not chronic knee injuries, but he's had knee injuries in patches. So this is not his first time he's gotten listed with this. Again, multiple times this season. So yeah, I don't have a great read on it. They have a lot of depth. We know they're going to kind of trust their depth there. I think at this point, they would start. I think they're going to go to Max Strus. We saw Max Strus go from 19 to 22. Not a back-to-back situation for the Cavs, I don't think. Nope. So yeah, I think they start Max Strus here. I think he's done enough. He's played pretty well for the most part. So yeah, I think he would be in the starting lineup, and that would move Sam Merrill to the bench. Obviously, Dean Wade would obviously have to come off the bench there. Other than that, Ty Jerome's minutes would get squeezed. Obviously, Karras, lower ceiling minutes. And then George Niang should note he got some closing minutes over Jared Allen in the last game as they went a little bit smaller against Utah. I feel very strongly that would not happen today. I think that given the matchup against the Nuggets and Joker and how Jared Allen played 35 minutes in that last game against Denver, that his minutes should be pretty secure. So I think Jared Allen, from a minutes perspective, could bounce back. Matchup's not great. Denver does rebound well, but they are taking Aaron Gordon out. Who we'll talk about in a second. And also got to know Evan Mobley. I think it's 70 true shooting this month. He's his last 8 games, he's leading the team in touches. He's playing so well right now. And it's affecting Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's usage rate has come down in this span, partly because it's Evan Mobley eating at his usage.
Yep. Let's go to the Denver side where Aaron Gordon is out with that right calf strain. Jamal Murray listed probable with the right ankle sprain. They've also listed out Trey Alexander, Vlatko Konchar, PJ Hall, and Deron Holmes. How does Denver adapt without Aaron Gordon tonight?
Yeah, the easy answer here, they're going to start Peyton Watson. We've seen that pretty consistently on who starts. We've seen sometimes Russell Wilson watch too much football, apparently. The NFL is eating into my brain, just like everyone's saying, because NBA ratings are bad. So it'll be Peyton for sure. And you would think that given the size of the Cavs, they can't play Westbrook too many minutes at Peyton Watson's expense. Can it be MPJ? I don't know. MPJ's minutes were pretty strong the first time Gordon went down. Should note that Aaron Gordon wasn't hurt badly. It was more of a tightness thing. He's not going to be out like Luka is, according to Malone. At least it sounds like that. They'll be careful, though, for sure. This isn't aggravation. This is why he missed time earlier. So, it'll be Payne Watson starting. But MPJ's minutes more secure. Christian Brown's minutes should be pretty secure with those guards on the other side. And then Westbrook, Julian Strawther, DeAndre Jordan would have to play, I'd say, especially with the size. He'll get the non-Joker minutes as well. But yeah, tough scene to lose Aaron Gordon. They were not playing good defensively in the stretch Aaron Gordon was out. They had a 5-game stretch where they were one of the worst defenses in the NBA. So Denver's defense definitely in a tough spot against the number 1 rated offense in the NBA on the Cavs.
Phoenix and Dallas. On the Dallas side of things, no Luka Doncic with that left calf strain. Still no Dante Exum recovering from right wrist surgery. And then Derek Lively questionable.
Oh, did you freeze or did I? Think Dink froze. Did Dink freeze or did I freeze? Think Dink froze. Anybody hear me? It's Dink. Okay. All right.
Yeah, sorry.
You're back.
I froze. So I'm back. Dallas side, Luka left calf strain, Dante Exum out as well, and Derek Lively questionable with the left hip.
And I think it froze again. Okay. Yeah, Derek Lively, new injury there. Don't have a great read on this one with a contusion. Probably going to be okay. But yeah, Luka Doncic, as I'm sure most of you know, as hardcore NBA fans, going to miss at least a month with a pretty severe, moderate to severe calf strain. So he's out. We're probably talking close to All-Star break here. So that's going to put a big role into Kyrie Irving's hands. Obviously, PJ Washington also will be locked and loaded for minutes. Klay Thompson also a bigger usage rate. And then Derek Lively, not as favorable without Luka as a pick and roll partner. And then the last starting spot is between two guys. We saw the last game without Luka. It was Spencer Dinwiddie, but it might be Quentin Grimes. I'm not sure. I considering Grimes has been playing better lately, I kind of lean Quentin Grimes to pick up the Bradley Beal assignment, but it could certainly be Spencer Dinwiddie. They are going to have Jaden Hardy back for this game, so that's important to note. I don't think Hardy's a lock to play. A, coming off an injury, and B, they've already got a pretty legit 9-man. I mentioned the 4 starters, Spencer Dinwiddie / Grimes. Obviously, Najee Marshall's not going anywhere. Daniel Gafford certainly going to secure most of those minutes. And then Maxi Kleber. That's a pretty solid 9-man. So I think we landed at 6 minutes for Jaden Hardy there. And then also, Kyrie's going to play a ton. PJ's going to play a ton. But if Lively didn't play, that would obviously open up more small ball lineups. I think that they'd be pretty okay playing small ball in the second unit in the non-Nurk minutes. So we'd see more PJ, Max, and then we maybe get into playing more Jaden Hardy to make him the 9th man in a small ball lineup. They'll still play Dwight Powell, who we would give minutes to, but would also be a really good sign for Gafford against Nurk. We'll see. Lively doesn't sound like a serious thing, though.
All right, Phoenix side, Grayson Allen out with concussion protocol, Devin Booker out left groin strain, and then some G Leaguers out along with Bull. What are your notes on the Suns?
Yeah, not too much to say. Obviously, Devin Booker getting ruled out early, which we said, his second groin strain that's been serious in the last 3 seasons. Grayson Allen should be back somewhat soon from a concussion. Not surprising, as we noted, Simone Fontecchio really nailed him in the head. But yeah, the starting lineups, Dink is gone. We know 4 starters for sure. Tyus Jones, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Nurk, and then we saw they flipped. The first game against Denver, they had started Royce O'Neal, got blown out, and then they come back and then they get a nice win with Ryan Dunn in the first unit being an on-ball defender. I think, given it's Kyrie, I think they feel a little bit more comfortable with Ryan Dunn in that situation. So I'd expect Ryan Dunn to be the lead defender on Kyrie Irving. Certainly, Royce O'Neal will get big minutes off the bench. Josh Okogie gave them really good minutes off the bench on Christmas as well. Monte Morris will get the non-Tyus Jones. And then you have Mason Plumlee getting the majority of those backup center minutes. Still could see some Oso Ighodaro, especially if Derek Lively's out. I think if Lively's out, that could get Oso Ighodaro a little bit more minutes as the game could play a little bit smaller there. So, Dink, we're back. I broke down the Suns. Dink is not back. Dink is back. Hey, back.
Yeah, I'm back, but hold.
You're back.
I'm not yet because my speakers are. There we go. Okay, so we're through the Suns, on to the Golden State and the Clippers.
Yep.
Golden State side of things, Steph Curry out with the knee injury management, and Draymond Green questionable with a left lower back contusion. Gary Payton also out with left calf strain. So potentially a lighter Warriors availability potentially leads to a cleaner rotation. But without Steph, do we see wild changes to the starting lineup tonight?
Yeah, there's a lot to go into here. Steph, this is the back-to-back thing. We heard Steve Kerr say over the weekend that they were going to watch him on this back-to-back here. So he will sit today, and you would presume he'll be back tomorrow. Draymond Green, probably a situation where he plays today and sits tomorrow. But I don't know. Definitely a guy who's been banged up. We saw the little wrestling move where he pulled the Lakers down. Maybe that's when he hurt his back. But he's had chronic back injuries in his career. Obviously, that one severe one that basically ended the season a few years ago. So, yeah, I don't really know. I honestly wouldn't like Kerr is such a mad scientist that I could see him like managing Draymond via benching, and they might just start Trace Jackson Davis. I don't know if they would start him together with Kuminga, and should note Trace Jackson Davis against Zoo sounds like a disaster to me. We'll talk about Zoo in a second, but yeah, and again, like you're taking Steph shooting out, and like you need a shooter there, man. Like Dennis Schroeder is not a volume 3-point shooter, and really nobody is in this starting unit. Which to me, I think Buddy Hield starts in Steph's spot. And then I don't know. Like I obviously Schroeder's going to start. Obviously Wiggins is going to start. I think Trace Jackson's going to start. They seem pretty comfortable with him, and there's been some commentary from Kerr that they want him out there. But him with Kuminga is a pretty nasty fit. Like they don't shoot, and they both want pressure at the rim, so they're a pretty bad fit together. So I guess they would start them together if Draymond's in. If Draymond's out, it might get real crazy. You certainly don't need a lot of size. I could see them going like 2 guards and going like Schroeder, Pods, Buddy Hield, at Wiggins at the 4, and then Trace Jackson Davis. That would give him enough shooting and spacing. You don't need a lot of size against Derek Jones Jr. And Norm Powell at the 3 spot. So I think this game would play a little bit smaller on the wings overall. And then should note Moses Moody would be a candidate as well. He's been kind of down bad and out of the rotation, but now you're removing Steph, and you've got to fill a lot of minutes. That I think Moses Moody's in the rotation tonight. I think that mostly covers it. Yeah, and then should note Kevon Looney kind of out of the rotation last game, but that was a bit of a function of AD going down early. They just didn't need him. The game played really small, so I think Looney's minutes should be back to normal-ish in like the mid-teens.
I honestly think if Dre's out, they could start Looney. And
Yeah,
bench
I can see that.
Trace and go Looney and Kuminga as kind of the starting group there, because just to kind of get more offense on the floor, get Trace Jackson's minutes against the second unit, spread his. I don't think they're playing Trace and Kuminga together. I don't think that's happening. No. So I think whatever combination, but without Steph, the need for offense starts to become a higher need, and as a result, you might get Kuminga elevated, which might end up costing Trace Jackson Davis in this matchup, where Looney's size is very impactful against Zubac. So be ready for a lot of potential fluid changes on the Golden State stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay, Clippers side. No Terrence Mann, no Kawhi Leonard still, though he has improved to full practices, and they're hopeful that, in the next few weeks, it's still out for the next 4 games was the most recent report. No Cam Christie, no Trenton Flowers, no Kobe Brown. What are your notes here on the Clippers?
The main note here is Chris Dunn. He did it. Back-to-back games over 25 minutes. It's a Christmas miracle. So yeah, that's other than that, everything's the same. Like Derek Jones Jr.'s minutes have been quite down. Again, coming off that hamstring, maybe that comes to life a little bit, but I don't think he's going to play upper 20s as they're being cautious with him. And then, as I noted, Zubac, the injury. We were a little bit worried that he's had calf injuries in the 3 previous seasons, like around January, February. But Ty Lue said after the game, he just got kicked in the calf. It wasn't a strain. So that's a really, really good sign. Certainly any concern you had was out the window when he goes out there and puts 40 minutes and 2019 against that Memphis defense that I said was playing really well. So Zoo, Fulco, tough matchup in general. The Warriors have been a pretty good rim defense, but if they start Trace, I think Zoo could really get going. They do pressure ball handlers a lot, so could be a tougher matchup for Harden, even though the Warriors may not be as good overall. But yeah, Chris Dunn will be the lead assignment on Dennis Schroeder. Norm Powell playing a ton. Matchup is really good for Norm Powell with the Warriors giving a lot of catch and shoot stuff. And then, yeah, Batum off the bench, Mir Coffey, Kevin Porter Jr. And then we'll see if Mo Bamba plays. He could definitely get cut down. But they do. I think this game's going to play a little bit bigger than we're used to for the Warriors. Yeah. I think Mo Bamba's minutes are a little bit more secure in this spot. But yeah, certainly not like a guarantee to play most of, if not all. If maybe he plays half of the non-Zoos. Definitely not on solid footing because they do like Batum to space the floor.
Yep. All right, let's go back to the Pelicans before we get out of here. They did file on the 230 injury report. Jose Alvarado, Brandon Ingram, Carlo Makovich, and Zion Williamson are all out. And then Jordan Hawkins got a questionable tag with the right thumb contusion here on the second night of a back-to-back. So what are your notes on Jordan Hawkins' potential availability tonight?
Yeah, don't have any notes there because I didn't see it was coming. Didn't really see anything yesterday. Just didn't play well. This team didn't do anything. And man, Willie Green's presser had major "I'm getting fired soon" vibes. Man, it was bad. So again, blown out again. This team's 5-26. They are real bad. I think Sam was on the under for that one too. Shout out Sam. But yeah, other than that, don't have much to say. Really good matchup for the Pelicans shooters. We know the Grizzlies like to leave off-ball shooters, so I think Herb's going to get left open a bunch. And got a note, DeJounte Murray, among guys with his shot volume on layups, he's last. He's been really poor at rim finishing this year. Brutal L from us on a Trey Murphy under as he hits a freaking breakaway dunk with 1 second left in the third quarter before garbage time. That one hurt. But yeah, everything is good to go. If Jordan Hawkins can't play, that would really help out Brandon Boston the most. Brandon Boston would probably play minutes in the mid-20s. And they have been playing these guys a ton. We saw Trey Murphy hurt his ankle a couple games ago. You know, we thought he might be a little bit limited because it looked bad. Nah, I mean, he was raring to go for full minutes, if not for garbage time. So those guys are all good to go. And this team needs a win, man. So I think it's going to be mostly pretty tight. And they were rested yesterday, another blowout. So could see some pretty strong minutes from these guys.
They are 9-point dogs again, so I don't know that you will get those strong minutes. I think
the Clippers just added Kevin Porter Jr. As questionable with illness just now.
Okay.
Just an important note there. That would change things a little bit. Would secure Chris Dunn's minutes a little bit, help, and just trickle down. They would bring Jordan Miller in the rotation. I would feel pretty confidently if Kevin Porter Jr. did miss, though.
All right, that will do it for this edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. As always, appreciate your support on these shows. If you'd like to show us your love and your support while you're here, you can subscribe to this channel. You can hit the bell and get notifications whenever we post new content. You can also check out on the premium side of things, establishedrun.com/subscribe-NBA, where we do have a holiday deal going on. You can see the price slash there on the NBA DFS package, season, weekly, or monthly passes, all at discounted price tags now. That will be one billing cycle at the discounted price tag and then renew at the original price tag if you choose to renew. So that will be the new holiday deal that's going on now. If you're interested in supporting our free content in this show, the best way to do that is to smash the like button and feed the algorithm and help feed our families. That allows us to feed you the NBA injury information analysis you need each and every day to set your season-long lineups, your DFS lineups, and make your spread bets and your prop bets. So smash that like button, feed that algorithm. Nom, 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 nom. Enjoy the weekend. We'll be back on Monday for another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. Take care, everybody.